The misunderstanding of fear. On a distant planet called Xylor, a group of aliens believed they understood every feeling in the universe. They were known as the Xylorians, tall and thin with skin that shimmered like the stars. Their big round eyes glowed with curiosity. Among them was Zilfar, a dedicated researcher with a keen interest in emotions, especially fear. Zilfar spent years studying fear. They read countless reports and watched videos of various species. The Xylorians had fancy machines that allowed them to analyze fear from a distance. They believed they understood how it worked and thought they were experts in the field. They often gathered in large rooms to discuss fear, sharing their thoughts on why it existed and how it could be controlled. Fear is a simple reaction, Zilfar often said to the council. It keeps being safe from danger. It is just a sign that something is wrong. The council members nodded, impressed by Zilfar's confidence. They had never felt fear themselves. Xylorians lived in a peaceful world, free from danger. To them, fear was just an idea, a concept they had studied, but never truly experienced. One day, while browsing the vast information networks, Zilfar stumbled upon a video from a place called Earth. In this strange place, beings known as humans seemed to be in dangerous situations, but instead of panicking, they laughed. Zilfar was puzzled. Why do they laugh when they are afraid? They wondered. Intrigued, Zilfar gathered their fellow researchers. I found something fascinating. These humans, they laugh in the face of fear. We must learn more about this. The others looked at each other, uncertain. Some were skeptical, while others were curious. But Zilfar's excitement was contagious. They decided to send a small team to Earth to explore this mystery. As Zilfar prepared for the journey, they couldn't help but feel a mix of excitement and apprehension. What if humans didn't react like they expected? What if the aliens were wrong about fear? Zilfar shook their head, trying to push away the doubts. I must see this for myself, they thought. The day of the departure arrived. The Xylorian spacecraft, sleek and shiny, lifted off into the starry sky. Zilfar looked back at their home, feeling a sense of adventure. They were determined to discover the truth about fear and laughter among these humans. Upon landing on Earth, Zilfar and the team stepped out of their ship, their eyes wide with wonder. They were greeted by bustling streets, loud noises, and colorful lights. Humans rushed past them, some screaming with joy as they rode on roller coasters, while others screamed in fear while watching horror movies in outdoor theaters. This is chaos, Zilfar exclaimed. They watched as humans jumped and shouted in excitement, then laughed uncontrollably when things went wrong. It was unlike anything they had seen before. The Xylorians were amazed and confused. How could fear and laughter exist together? As they wandered through the city, Zilfar started to feel something they had never felt before. Was it fear, or was it just the thrill of the unknown? Zilfar couldn't tell. They realized that understanding fear was more complicated than they had thought. And so, the adventure began. Zilfar was determined to uncover the truth behind this strange mix of fear and laughter, unaware that their journey would change everything they believed about emotions. The call to adventure. Zilfar stood on the busy streets of Earth, still processing the strange sights and sounds around them. The noise was overwhelming, a mix of laughter, shouting, and the blaring of horns. Humans rushed by, their faces filled with excitement and fear at the same time. Zilfar's team observed everything with wide eyes, but Zilfar felt a growing sense of curiosity. As they wandered through the streets, Zilfar noticed a group of humans gathered in front of a large screen. The screen displayed a movie trailer. It was a horror film, full of jump scares and frightening monsters. The humans in the crowd gasped, then burst into laughter when a character tripped and fell. Zilfar was puzzled. Why do they laugh at fear? They wondered. Intrigued, Zilfar approached Alex, a young human who had been watching the trailer. Why do you find this funny? Zilfar asked, their voice soft but curious. Alex turned to Zilfar, surprised by their strange appearance, but fascinated by their question. "It's just a movie. We laugh because it's so ridiculous," Alex replied with a grin. "It helps us deal with fear. It's like a game." Zilfar listened intently, feeling a spark of excitement. This was the first time they had a direct conversation about fear with someone who experienced it. "So, laughter is a way to fight fear?" Zilfar asked, trying to wrap their head around this new idea. "Exactly," Alex said, their eyes shining with enthusiasm. "When we laugh, we feel better. It makes scary things less scary." Zilfar nodded slowly, taking in the information. This was something they had to explore further. That night, as Zilfar and their team returned to their temporary shelter, they shared their thoughts about the day's discoveries. "We must learn more about this," Zilfar urged. "These humans have a unique way of dealing with fear that we have never understood. We need to dive deeper into their culture." Some members of the team were hesitant, but "We came here to study fear, not to play games," one alien named Siler said, crossing their arms. "What if we don't find anything useful?" Zilfar responded passionately, "But what if this is the key to understanding fear? We have to see how humans live and laugh, even when faced with danger. This is a chance to learn something new." After a moment of silence, the team agreed to follow Zilfar's lead. They planned to attend various human events, comedy shows, scary movies, and extreme sports. Each of these experiences promised a deeper understanding of fear and laughter. The next day, Zilfar and their team signed up for a popular human activity called escape rooms. They heard it was a fun way for groups to solve puzzles while racing against the clock. It sounded perfect for studying how fear and teamwork work together. As they entered the escape room, Zilfar felt a rush of excitement. "This is it," they thought. "We are about to dive into the unknown." The door locked behind them, and the countdown began. Strange sounds filled the room, and dim lights flickered. The Xylorians looked at each other, hearts pounding. Were they afraid? Zilfar felt a mix of emotions: fear, excitement, and something new. In that moment, they realized this was more than just a study. It was an adventure that would change everything they believed about fear and laughter. With determination in their hearts, Zilfar led their team deeper into the escape room, ready to face whatever challenges awaited them. The call to adventure had begun. Arrival on Deathworld. The Xylorian spacecraft glided through the atmosphere of Earth, cutting through the clouds like a shining star. Zilfar watched from the window, their heart racing with excitement and anticipation. Below them, the vibrant colors of the planet stretched out, a mix of greens, blues, and browns. It was alive, bustling with energy. As the ship landed softly on a grassy field, Zilfar felt a mix of fear and exhilaration. This was not just any planet. It was a death world, a place where survival was a daily challenge. Xylor was peaceful, but Earth was wild and unpredictable. Zilfar's team stepped out onto the ground, their sleek, shining forms contrasting against the rich green grass. "Welcome to Earth," Zilfar said, their voice filled with wonder. The team looked around, taking in the sights and sounds. A group of humans nearby was playing a game, laughing and shouting as they ran after a ball. Zilfar noticed the joy on their faces and felt a spark of excitement. "Let's observe them," suggested Sylar, the most cautious member of the team. "We should stay out of sight until we understand more." Zilfar nodded in agreement. They found a quiet spot under a tree, allowing them to watch without being seen. As they observed, Zilfar saw something interesting. When one of the players fell and scraped their knee, the other humans rushed over concerned. But within moments, they were laughing, making jokes about the fall. "You're tougher than you look," one said, and everyone erupted into laughter. Zilfar was fascinated. How could they laugh at pain? The day went on, and the Xylorians explored more of the area. They watched humans ride bicycles, eat colorful food, and dance to loud music. Everywhere they looked, there was laughter, even in moments that seemed scary or challenging. Zilthar felt a strange mix of emotions: curiosity, confusion, and a hint of fear. Suddenly, they heard a loud roar nearby. Zilthar's heart raced. What was that? They turned to see a massive roller coaster at an amusement park just a short distance away. Humans were screaming, but their screams were filled with joy. The Xylorians exchanged worried glances. "Should we investigate?" asked another team member, Clitho. "What if it's dangerous?" Zilthar took a deep breath. "We came here to understand fear and laughter. We have to see this for ourselves." The team moved toward the amusement park, still hidden from view. As they approached, Zilthar felt the ground shake slightly beneath their feet. They watched as humans climbed into colorful carts, strapped themselves in, and raised their hands in excitement. When the ride began, the carts climbed higher and higher. Zilthar's heart raced as they watched. Suddenly, the carts dropped, and the humans screamed, but this time, their screams were mixed with laughter. "This is amazing," a human shouted, even as they flew through the air. Zilthar couldn't believe their eyes. This was not what they expected. How can they enjoy fear? They wondered. Do they not understand the danger? As the day turned to evening, Zilthar and their team sat quietly, reflecting on what they had seen. "Fear is not just about danger," Zilthar said softly. "It's about how we respond to it. These humans embrace fear in a way we never imagined." With each moment, Zilthar felt their understanding of fear shifting. Earth was not just a death world. It was a place where fear and laughter danced together. They were ready to learn more, and the adventure was just beginning. The learning curve. The sun rose over the horizon, casting a golden glow on the streets of Earth. Zilthar and their team were filled with excitement as they planned their next adventure. After witnessing the joyful chaos of the amusement park, they knew they had much to learn about fear and laughter. They gathered around a table in their temporary shelter, eager to discuss their observations. "We need to dive deeper into human activities," Zilthar said, their eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. "Yesterday was just the beginning. Let's explore more places where fear and laughter mix." Xylar nodded, but a hint of worry crossed their face. "But what if we encounter something too dangerous? We don't know their limits." Zilthar smiled reassuringly. "That's why we are here, to learn. We must trust our instincts." The team decided to visit a comedy club that evening. They had heard from Alex that stand-up comedy was a popular way for humans to face their fears through humor. The thought excited Zilthar. "This will be fascinating," they exclaimed. As night fell, they made their way to the club. The bright lights and loud music welcomed them. Humans filled the room, laughing and chatting. Zilthar felt a strange energy in the air. The atmosphere was electric, buzzing with excitement and anticipation. When the show began, a comedian took the stage, instantly capturing the audience's attention. Zilthar and their team watched closely as the comedian told jokes about everyday fears, like spiders and public speaking. The crowd roared with laughter, and Zilthar was captivated. "Why do they laugh at their own fears?" Zilthar whispered to Xylar. "Isn't it strange?" Xylar shrugged, trying to understand. "Maybe they're showing that fear is not so powerful. If they can laugh at it, it loses its hold on them." As the show continued, Zilthar noticed how the audience reacted. With every joke, the humans let out gasps of fear followed by bursts of laughter. It was a strange dance of emotions, and Zilthar felt a sense of wonder. This is more than just entertainment, they thought. It's a way to connect. After the show, the Xylorians met Alex outside. "What did you think?" Alex asked, grinning. "It was enlightening," Zilthar replied. "But how do you use laughter to face your fears? Doesn't that make fear seem less serious?" Alex shook their head. "No, it makes it easier to deal with. Laughter helps us share our fears, and it reminds us we're not alone. Everyone feels scared sometimes." Zilthar pondered this new information. It was a powerful idea. Fear was not something to hide from. It was something to share and laugh about. This changed everything they thought they knew. Inspired, Zilthar decided to try a new experiment. "Let's create our own comedy show," they suggested. "We can share our experiences and how we view fear as Xylorians." The team agreed, excited by the idea. They spent the next few days preparing their act, blending Xylorian culture with human humor. They practiced their jokes, focusing on their unique perspective on fear, which often seems serious to them, but could be funny when shared. Finally, the night of the performance arrived. The Xylorians took the stage in a small venue. Zilthar felt nervous but also thrilled. As they began to tell their stories, the audience listened intently, then burst into laughter at the unexpected twists. Zilthar realized they were beginning to understand the human way of dealing with fear. They had moved from being mere observers to active participants. The laughter echoed in their hearts, filling them with joy. They were learning to embrace fear, and in doing so, they were discovering a new part of themselves. The adventure was just beginning, and Zilthar felt ready to face whatever came next. The challenge of comprehension. Zilthar stood backstage, heart pounding as they prepared for the second performance of their comedy show. Their team had received positive feedback after the first night, but they felt the pressure to make this show even better. Laughter echoed from the audience outside, filling the room with energy. Zilthar took a deep breath, trying to calm their nerves. "Remember, it's just a chance to share our experiences," Siler said, giving Zilthar an encouraging nod. "We're not just here to make them laugh. We're here to connect." As the show began, Zilthar stepped onto the stage, greeted by a wave of cheers. They shared stories about their home planet, explaining how fear was viewed as a serious problem that needed to be controlled. The audience chuckled, but Zilthar sensed a deeper understanding forming in the room. "On Xylar, fear is seen as a weakness," Zilthar said. "But here, you use laughter to face your fears. That is both strange and wonderful." The crowd roared with laughter. Zilthar felt a warm connection with them, but a part of them still struggled to fully understand this human perspective. After the show, Zilthar and their team sat with Alex at a local diner, reflecting on the night. "I feel like we're getting closer to understanding fear, but there's still something missing," Zilthar admitted, stirring their drink. "It's like I can see the connection between fear and laughter, but I can't grasp it completely." Alex leaned in, intrigued. "What do you mean?" "Every time I think I understand, I find something new that confuses me. For example, how can you find joy in a scary situation? Isn't that dangerous?" Alex thought for a moment. "It's not about being reckless. It's about acknowledging that fear exists and choosing to laugh at it instead of letting it control us. It's like looking at a monster and saying, 'You're not so scary after all.'" Zilthar considered this. "But what if the monster is truly dangerous? Shouldn't you be afraid?" Alex smiled. "Sure, we should be careful, but sometimes facing that fear with laughter makes it less powerful. It's a way of taking back control." Zilthar felt a light bulb go off in their mind. "So it's about balance. You accept that fear exists, but also remind yourself that you have the power to overcome it." "Exactly," Alex exclaimed. "Laughter is our way of coping. It's not about ignoring fear. It's about embracing it." This revelation struck Zilthar deeply. They realized that they had been looking at fear from a purely logical point of view, trying to categorize it like a scientific experiment. But human emotions were more complex than that. The next day, Zilthar proposed an idea to the team. "What if we put ourselves in situations where we can feel fear? We could join humans in activities that challenge us. That way we can understand fear firsthand and see how laughter fits in." The team hesitated, glancing at one another. "But what if it's too scary?" Glitho asked, anxiety clear in their voice. "That's the point," Zilthar replied, their eyes shining with determination. "We can't understand fear unless we experience it. We need to step outside our comfort zone." Slowly, the team agreed. They chose activities that seemed thrilling but safe, rock climbing, ziplining, and even visiting a haunted house. Each adventure promised a mix of fear and laughter. As they prepared for their first challenge, Zilthar felt a wave of anticipation. They were ready to embrace fear, to understand it in a way they had never imagined before. The path to comprehension was unclear, but Zilthar was determined to discover the deeper connection between fear and laughter. They knew this journey would change everything. An unexpected alliance. Zilthar and their team stood at the base of a towering rock wall, staring up at the steep incline that seemed to reach the sky. The morning sun shone brightly, casting long shadows. Today was the day they would try rock climbing. Zilthar felt a mixture of excitement and fear. Would they truly be able to face this challenge? As they prepared, Zilthar noticed a group of humans nearby, laughing and chatting. One of them, a tall girl with bright red hair, approached them with a warm smile. "Hey there, you all look like you're about to conquer the world," she said, her voice filled with energy. "Hello, we are trying rock climbing for the first time," Zilthar replied, trying to match her enthusiasm. "That's awesome. I'm Mia," the girl said, extending her hand. "You'll love it. Just remember to trust your harness and have fun." Zilthar smiled back, grateful for her encouragement. "Thank you, Mia. We hope to learn about fear and laughter today." Learning about fear, Maya raised an eyebrow, intrigued. "That sounds interesting. You know, climbing can be scary at first, but it's also super fun once you get the hang of it. Do you want me to show you the ropes?" Zilthar nodded eagerly. Yes, please. They realized this could be the alliance they needed. As they began climbing, Mia demonstrated the techniques. "Just focus on your next move and don't look down," she encouraged, showing them how to find handholds and footholds. Zilthar took a deep breath and started up the wall. With each step, they felt a rush of adrenaline. Halfway up, they paused, looking down at the ground far below. Fear gripped their heart. "What if I fall?" they thought, panic rising. Mia's voice floated up to them. "Just breathe. Remember, fear is part of the fun. If you fall, you'll be caught. Embrace it." Zilthar took a moment to gather their thoughts. Mia was right. This was an opportunity to face their fear. They focused on the next hold and pulled themselves higher. With each movement, the fear slowly faded, replaced by excitement. When they reached the top, Zilthar shouted with joy. "I did it." They looked down at their team, who cheered with pride. The sense of accomplishment washed over them, and laughter bubbled up inside. "See, that wasn't so bad," Mia called out, joining them at the top. "Now you just have to get down." The descent was scarier than climbing up. Zilthar felt the thrill of fear again, but reminded themselves of Mia's words. They focused on the laughter, trusting the harness to guide them safely to the ground. When they landed, the team erupted into cheers. "Great job," Sylar exclaimed, hugging Zilthar tightly. Mia grinned. "You all did amazing. You faced your fears like pros." As the day went on, Zilthar and their team continued to climb, now feeling more confident. They laughed and encouraged each other, the fear transforming into joy. After climbing, they gathered with Mia and her friends for lunch. Over sandwiches and drinks, they shared stories. Maya learned about Xylar, and Zilthar learned more about Earth and its culture. They discovered that Mia had also faced her fears in different ways. "I used to be terrified of heights," she admitted, "but I learned to love climbing. It made me stronger." Zilthar felt a strong bond forming with Mia and her friends. "We have much to learn from each other," they said. "Fear can unite us in ways we never expected." As the sun began to set, Zilthar realized that this unexpected alliance was just what they needed. With Maya's help, they were starting to understand that fear was not just something to analyze. It was a shared experience, a bridge connecting different worlds. The journey was far from over, but Zilthar felt ready for whatever came next. They had found friendship, laughter, and a new perspective on fear, and they were excited to continue exploring it together. The climax. The sky was a deep shade of orange as the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the park. Zilfar, Mia, and their team stood at the edge of a large open area where a big event was taking place, a Fear Factor challenge. It was a competition where humans faced their fears in a series of thrilling tasks. Zilfar's heart raced with excitement and anticipation. This was the perfect opportunity to put their learning to the test. "Are you ready?" Maya asked, her eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. "This is going to be so much fun." Zilfar nodded, but a wave of anxiety washed over them. The challenges ahead were designed to scare people. "What if I can't handle it?" they thought, feeling doubt creep in. Maya seemed to sense their hesitation. "Remember, we're all in this together. If we laugh and support each other, we can face anything." Zilfar took a deep breath, reminding themselves of their recent experiences. They had learned so much about laughter and fear. They were no longer just observers, they were participants. "Okay," Zilfar replied, determination growing. "Let's do this." As the competition began, the first challenge was revealed. A maze filled with creepy decorations, fake spiders, ghostly sounds, and dark corners. Zilfar felt their heart race. The maze seemed daunting, but they looked at Mia, who was ready to go. "We can do this together," they shouted, stepping forward. Entering the maze, Zilfar's senses heightened. The darkness enveloped them, and the eerie sounds echoed around. The fake spiders dangled from the ceiling, and a sudden loud noise made Zilfar jump. Fear gripped them for a moment, but then they remembered Mia's encouragement. "Keep moving. It's just a maze," they shouted to their team, laughing to shake off the fear. The sound of laughter echoed through the maze, lifting their spirits. With every step, they felt the fear melting away, replaced by excitement. After navigating through the maze, they emerged into the open area, breathing heavily but grinning with pride. The crowd cheered, and Zilfar felt a rush of adrenaline. They had conquered their first challenge. The next task was even more intense, a giant swing that launched participants high into the air. Zilfar's heart sank. "This is terrifying," they thought. Maya stood beside them, her face filled with determination. "You can do this. Just remember to scream if it gets too scary." Zilfar laughed nervously. "And what if I don't want to scream?" "Then just laugh," Maya replied, squeezing Zilfar's arm for support. As they waited in line, Zilfar's fear grew. But when it was finally their turn, something clicked inside them. They took a deep breath and stepped onto the platform, staring out at the view below. The ground looked so far away, and fear surged back. But then they remembered the laughter, the fun they had shared. "Let's go," Zilfar shouted, adrenaline pumping. They launched into the air, feeling the rush of wind and weightlessness. The initial fear transformed into exhilaration, and Zilfar couldn't help but laugh. When they landed, the ground felt steady beneath them. They had faced their fears, and it was not only thrilling but also empowering. The crowd erupted into cheers, and Zilfar felt a sense of unity with their team and the audience. With each challenge they faced that day, Zilfar realized they were not just learning about fear and laughter. They were living it. As they reached the final challenge, a large inflatable obstacle course, Zilfar's heart raced again. But this time, it was from excitement. "Together," they shouted, and the team charged forward, laughing and cheering each other on. They stumbled and fell, but each time, they got back up, sharing smiles and laughter. At that moment, Zilfar knew they had crossed a crucial threshold. They were no longer just Silurians studying fear. They were now part of this wonderful human experience. The connection between laughter and fear had transformed their understanding, leading them to a climax that felt like victory. As they crossed the finish line, Zilfar raised their arms in triumph, feeling the joy of their newfound strength and friendship. They had faced their fears, embraced laughter, and forged bonds that would last a lifetime. The adventure was far from over, but in that moment, everything felt perfect. The return home. The next morning, the sun rose softly over the horizon, casting a warm glow on the earth. Zilthar stood outside their temporary shelter, gazing at the beautiful landscape. The air was filled with the sounds of chirping birds and laughing children in the distance. The adventure they had experienced on this strange planet was unforgettable, and Zilthar felt a mix of sadness and excitement about returning to Xylar. Mia and the rest of the team gathered around, their faces bright with smiles. "You did it," Mia exclaimed, clapping her hands. "You faced your fears like champions. I'm so proud of all of you." Zilthar beamed with pride. "Thank you, Mia. We couldn't have done it without your support. You taught us so much about laughter and fear." As they packed their things, Zilthar reflected on their journey. They had come to Earth with the goal of understanding fear, but they had gained so much more. They had made friends, learned to laugh at fear, and discovered a new way to face challenges. It was not just about observation. It was about experience. "Are you ready to go home?" Xylar asked, a hint of sadness in their voice. Zilthar nodded, but their heart felt heavy. "I am excited to return, but I will miss everyone here, especially Mia." Mia smiled brightly, trying to hide her own sadness. "You're always welcome back. We'll keep in touch. Besides, now you can share your stories about Earth with everyone on Xylar." As the group walked to the spacecraft, Zilthar felt a wave of nostalgia wash over them. The memories of laughter, fear, and friendship filled their mind. They had faced many challenges together, and each one had brought them closer. When they reached the spacecraft, Zilthar took one last look at the park where they had experienced so much joy. "Goodbye, Earth. Thank you for the lessons," they whispered. As they entered the spacecraft, Alex appeared at the door, holding a small package. "I have something for you," Alex said with a grin. "Open it when you get back home." Zilthar accepted the package, touched by the gesture. "Thank you, Alex. We will cherish it always." Once inside, the team prepared for takeoff. Zilthar took the pilot's seat, feeling a sense of pride in their abilities. They initiated the launch sequence, and the spacecraft began to rise into the sky. As they ascended, Zilthar looked out of the window, watching Earth shrink beneath them. "This planet is amazing," Zilthar said, their voice filled with emotion. "I will never forget the lessons we learned here." Xylar turned to the rest of the team. "We need to remember to share our stories with everyone back on Xylar. They need to hear about laughter and fear, and how they can bring us together." As they traveled through space, Zilthar opened the package from Alex. Inside was a small, colorful trinket shaped like a smiley face. "It's a reminder to always find joy, even in fear," Alex had written in the note. Zilthar smiled at the gift, feeling its significance. After what felt like a long journey, they'd finally approached Xylar. The planet appeared bright and vibrant, full of life. Zilthar felt a wave of excitement as they prepared for landing. When they touched down, the team stepped out of the spacecraft and breathed in the familiar air of their home planet. Zilthar looked around, their hearts swelling with pride. They were back, but they were different now. They had changed in ways they had never expected. As they shared their experiences with the Xylorian people, Zilthar realized that they were not just bringing back knowledge about fear, they were also sharing the power of laughter. They knew that their adventure on Earth would inspire others to embrace their fears and find joy in every moment. Zilthar smiled, feeling a deep sense of fulfillment. They had embarked on a journey to understand fear, but they had returned home with a newfound perspective on life. With laughter and courage, they knew they could face any challenge that lay ahead. A new perspective. Back on Xylar, the sun shone brightly over the vibrant green hills, and Zilthar felt a mix of excitement and nervousness as they prepared to share their experiences. The Xylorian community had gathered in the central square, their faces filled with curiosity. News of Zilthar's adventures on Earth had spread quickly, and everyone was eager to hear what they had learned. Zilthar stood on a raised platform, looking out at the crowd. Their heart raced, but they felt ready. "Thank you all for coming," Zilthar began, their voice steady but filled with emotion. "I have returned from Earth with lessons that changed my understanding of fear and laughter." As Zilthar spoke, they could see the eyes of their friends and family widen in interest. They shared stories about the challenges they faced, from the spooky maze to the exhilarating swing. The audience listened intently, hanging on every word. "When I first arrived on Earth, I thought fear was something to be avoided. I believed it was a weakness," Zilthar continued. "But I learned that fear is a part of life, and it can be faced with laughter and courage. On Earth, people use humor to overcome their fears, to connect with each other." Gasps and murmurs rippled through the crowd. Some Xylorians exchanged glances, surprised by this new idea. "Is it true?" one asked. "Can laughter really help us face what scares us?" "Yes," Zilthar exclaimed, their voice rising with passion. "I experienced it myself. I learned that laughter can break down the barriers of fear. It can turn a scary situation into something fun and exciting. It brought me closer to my new friends on Earth." Zilthar paused for a moment, recalling the joy they felt as they faced their fears alongside Mia and the other humans. "I met a girl named Mia, who taught me that facing fear together makes us stronger. We laughed and encouraged each other, and it made all the difference." The crowd began to murmur again, and Zilthar could see the wheels turning in their minds. They continued, "Fear doesn't have to control us. It can be a teacher. It can show us our strengths and help us grow. And laughter, it can be the bridge that connects us." A few Zilorians nodded, and Zilthar felt their confidence grow. They shared more stories about the fun they had at the Fear Factor Challenge and how each task had pushed them to embrace their fears. With every tale, laughter filled the square, and the atmosphere lightened. "Today, I challenge each of you," Zilthar declared, their eyes sparkling with determination. "Let's find ways to laugh at our fears. Whether it's trying something new, facing a scary situation, or simply sharing a joke, let's embrace the joy in life." The audience erupted into applause, their excitement infectious. Zilthar could see that the community was eager to try this new perspective. It was a shift in thinking that could change everything. After the gathering, many approached Zilthar with questions and ideas. "How can we start?" asked Glitho, one of Zilthar's closest friends. Zilthar smiled, feeling hopeful. "Let's organize events where we can face our fears together. We can create challenges that bring laughter and joy. We can learn from each other." As the sun set over Xylar, casting a warm glow over the square, Zilthar felt a sense of pride and fulfillment. They had returned not just with knowledge, but with a mission. They would inspire others to embrace fear and laughter, to create connections that could strengthen their community. With each passing day, Zilthar could see the change unfolding. Friends were trying new things, laughing together, and supporting one another through challenges. They had discovered a powerful truth. Fear did not have to be a barrier. Instead, it could be a stepping stone to greater understanding and unity. Zilthar stood on the platform one last time, looking at their home with newfound appreciation. They had traveled far and learned much, but the most important lesson was simple. Life was richer when shared with laughter and courage. And with that perspective, Xylar would shine even brighter.